Welcome to Rise Above Performance Training's 15 Minutes of Strength, the show where we explore and discuss the vast landscape of strength to help you live your best and strongest lives. I'm your host, Doug Fiorinelli, and this is episode 10, A Strength Journey with Cerebral Palsy, Overtime with trainer Tevin Cherry. All right, welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have a special guest, Tevin Cherry, out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he is a phenomenal human being and strength athlete who has had cerebral palsy since he was 9 months old. And his fitness journey through Instagram has really inspired me to reach out and get him on the show just so I can learn more about what he's doing, not only with his training, but what he's doing to help other people out. So Tevin, welcome to the show.
Hey.
All right.
Glad to be on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited about this. Give everyone, what little 1 minute breakdown of who you are and kind of what your training philosophy is, and kind of take it from there.
My name is Tevin Cherry. I'm 30 years old, out of Atlanta, Georgia, but I was born in Thomaston, Georgia, November 2nd, 1991. I developed a passion and love for fitness and strength training through loving gym growing up as a child. And now I am a personal trainer / movement rehabilitation coach. And my desire is to help people move freely, move strongly, and get over or out of whatever pain they're going through.
That's great. I've read your website and everything, and it looked like you have cerebral palsy, and it's kind of detected at birth, or is it shortly after birth? What was your initial diagnosis?
After a few months of my parents just watching and listening to the doctors about the developmental milestones, my mom noticed that I wasn't sitting up and I wasn't completing the milestones at the same pace as my twin brother. So at the age of 8 or 9 months, my parents took me to the Marcus Center that now diagnoses commonly autism now. And it was there at the Marcus Center where I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Probably something like your lower body, just not, the strength wasn't there to help you sit up, or starting to crawl or something like that is kind of how they figured it out, that there was something there with that.
Yeah, what generally happens is there's the cerebral cortex in the brain that controls movement. That was negatively affected during the gestation period, at which I was still developing inside my mom. So that has a direct correlation to premature birth, and that's mainly how cerebral palsy manifests itself.
It seems like the condition is, when I was looking up and doing research, it's not super common. I think it was like 1 in 200,000. So at the time, and it was about 30 years ago, what were they doing after the diagnosis? Was there special programs they can get into, or, to help parents out? Obviously, it's people just don't know. I wouldn't know what to do with somebody. I had to find resources. I imagine 30 years ago, there was less of it too as well. So what was kind of your initial things that your parents did to help you out and to get you progressing forward?
Well, 30 years ago, there was pretty much physical therapy and occupational therapy and things of that matter. So I had to go through a lot of that. And for those who don't know what occupational therapy is about developing your motor skills, how to use your hands, how to cut with scissors, how to button your shirt, everyday life skills. So I had to go through 10 rounds of that. And I can even remember my handwriting not necessarily being legible until I was about in the 2nd grade, and I couldn't cut anything without messing up or fraying the lines until like the 4th grade. Even tying my shoe by myself was difficult, and I didn't do that until about the 8th grade. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And then how long were you participating in some type of physical therapy and occupational therapy program? Are you still doing it now, or are you just kind of doing it on your own now that you've learned a lot more?
I'm doing it on my own a lot more, but for the most part, I participated from, I want to say, kindergarten all the way up to high school, but then got to a point where my parents couldn't afford physical therapy. So now I'm in college. Now I'm trying to take care of myself and really take ownership and advocate for myself as far as building my body. And when I went on YouTube and various mediums of resources for information as far as working out with somebody in my condition, I couldn't find anything. So what I did was I watched strength training videos, I watched mobility videos, and I just tried to study what they did, and then I would put my own little spin on it, and then I would start recording videos of me working out basically on social media. And through the various platforms, I was able to share my story and kind of build some type of platform based off of me working out and things of that nature. And as I've gotten progressively stronger, I've stumbled upon various methods that have been able to really help me, such as go-to movement systems, original strength, and I've partnered with some amazing people like Mark Liebert over the years and Carl Pioli. And I have a little bit of a CrossFit background thanks to him. So.
Yeah, that's great. I definitely want to explore that a little bit more. But let's go back a little bit, because you said you were in the gym or you love fitness even at a young age. What motivated you then to do that? Was it to help you out, or just you enjoyed sports, or you saw siblings doing those things and you enjoyed doing that and got you into the gym or got you into, participating in athletics and physical training?
Basically, when I really think about it, I really grew up in a gym setting. My parents, they used to coach rec league basketball, and my brother and sister were on the team. I didn't play sports back then, but it came to be about the summer of fourth grade going into fifth grade. My mom bought me and my brother a weight set so we could work out at home. And my brother started to lift weights and get into football. Again, I didn't play football, too afraid to get hit. But
Me too.
But ninth grade came around, and one of the administrators, his name was Shad Seymour, he recommended that I try out for the wrestling team. And I got beat pretty badly, but when I was finally able to get into the weight room my junior year, well, I wrestled from my freshman year to my senior year. But I finally got into the weight room my junior year, and that really, the weight training built my esteem and my body image. I started to look strong. Commonly with cerebral palsy, we're associated or stigmatized as being weak. So me building my body helped me build my self-esteem, and it also improved my appearance and my self-confidence in myself.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I mean, weight training in general does that for a lot of people. And I always take that philosophy with people too. Like, I train some athletes, even young guys, and, some of them may not go to play in college, but I want to help them build the skills and also to have confidence, right? They take that skill with them that they always have. And whether it's, just, having cerebral palsy, or even just having other things like, negative self-esteem, or just need to lose a little bit of weight, I think that helps. And I'm glad that helped you out too, with the weight training. Now, before the weight training and before maybe the wrestling, you're doing your physical therapy. How was the progress with cerebral palsy? Like, did doctors give you new milestones to achieve, or is it kind of unpredictable in a sense that it's kind of person by person in terms of what they can accomplish or goals they can achieve with cerebral palsy going forward as people age?
It was really unpredictable, but it's like the doctors threw out this diagnosis of, oh, maybe he won't be able to do this, that, and the third. And my father, shout out to my father, he just basically was like, we understand that. We're just going to take him home and figure everything else out. I understand you're a doctor and everything, but what you're saying about my son is not the end all be all. So I'm thankful that I had a collaborative effort from my parents and my siblings to say, hey, he might have this, but we're going to teach him how to do this so he can navigate the world, because one day we're not always going to be there to help him, but we're going to give him the tools and the skills necessary so that he can succeed. And that's pretty much what they did.
No, that's great. Having support like that is key, I think, especially at a young age, right? You need that. And you had not only their support emotionally, but also the gym and their physical prowess to help you get going in the right direction. So I can see that being frustrating and easily kind of lost, right? So that's great. So as you get through high school and wrestling, then you started looking outward to find places, and you couldn't, in terms of training. So you didn't find really anything on cerebral palsy for weight training. Yeah, I can imagine that would be tough, but I know original strength is great. There's a lot of mobility work. Did you find that the mobility work is kind of essential to where you're at now?
Yes, that's pretty much my niche, the mobility work and things of that nature, and really trying to figure out the body and where I need to place all of my emphasis, or trying to open my hip, trying to activate or put more energy or pressure into my feet and things of that nature. So getting back down to the ground and really exploring the hunter and gatherer mentality, that's really helped me build up a strong base that I didn't necessarily get to continue to build on with physical therapy and occupational therapy and whatnot. So now I'm just in a phase of where I'm just figuring out my body and using exercising and training to stave off some of the aging that comes with cerebral palsy, because we are limited in movement somewhat, and we don't always have the opportunities to get out. But I try to make sure that I use fitness as a medium to stay active, and also encourage others to transcend whatever they're overcoming in their various situations.
When you're doing, let's say, a mobility drill, like when I do a mobility drill and I'm using original strength, I recommend people, if they haven't checked them out, just check them out. They're basically, the original strength is our primal movements, like what toddlers and things would use that we kind of get away from, that they kind of bring back, like rotation, hip work, hip rocks. I do those daily just to help myself out. And obviously Tevin's a big proponent of that. When I do them and I find limitations, I feel like I hit a brick wall, but I can feel the sensation. It's like, oh man, my hips are tight at this angle. I got to just kind of constantly rock there. And then hopefully over time, my joint will loosen up, my muscles and tendons will loosen up, and I'll be able to get more out of it. Is that feeling that you get, or is there a connection, like the brain and the limb, like there's the neuromuscular connection's not there and you're trying to get it wired, whereas like getting feeling in the feet or getting feeling in, the limbs or the joints? Is that kind of, what do you feel in terms of that versus, what I can feel when I'm doing them?
There's a wall that I hit, and then there's also, so it's like a coin. Coins have two sides to them, correct?
Yes.
So there is a wall that I hit, and in the same sentiment, I'm still trying to figure out the pathway to discover to get everything to connect. As I put up a picture or a video the other day, or I was working out the other day, just rocking and moving around on the ground, and I was trying to figure out at what point do I need to shift my body so that I can feel my hip and my foot connect. And I just kept thinking about my thigh and how I had to turn it out so it could be quote unquote externally rotated. And I was able to make that connection between my hip and my foot. So most of my training is not only for strength and speed, it's also awareness, because with cerebral palsy, there's a disconnect there, but I'm spending time trying to shift and figure out where I can get that connection and just stay in that connection. And once I work or shrinking the movement down, quote unquote, and just focus on micro movements, eventually over time, the movement will show itself in full expression, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You do practice standing and walking. I've seen that, which is great. Do you have a sensory between the ground and your upper body, like moving together, or is there like a sensory like disconnect that helps, kind of limits the balance? Do you know what I mean? Like if there's like in certain positions, you can't feel the legs or underneath you for balance, or is it more just the strength of the legs that need to get back and that connection to kind of recruit the muscles to help you do the movement?
It's really the strength that really needs to get back. Now, when I first started practicing walking on a regular basis, there was a point where I couldn't really feel my lower extremities, and I couldn't really tap into the shift of the weight as I moved from one side to the other. But as I've gotten stronger and as I've gotten, that awareness that we're going back to before, as my awareness has heightened, I can tell myself, hey, I need to shift over here, or hey, you need to shift back a little bit over here, and you need to slow down so you can really feel that foot go into the ground. You really need to focus on picking up your feet and not dragging your feet so much so that you can walk a little bit cleaner. And over time, I've gotten faster and stronger, and my awareness has increased.
Oh, that's great. I hear a couple good things. What I really like, and I think kind of exemplified or kind of what my fitness journey has been. We did sports growing up and hit the weight room probably a little bit later in life, but then, did the same thing. Our parents bought a set and we did it at home, and we were just trying to lift to get big and, play sports. But now as I get older, I have had some injuries as well, nothing crazy, but just some knee stuff and whatever. But what I'm seeing from you or listening from you is a true focus in training where we're not so much worried about the resistance. We're more concerned on the movement itself and also the reaction of the body to that movement. Mm-hmm. And I'm really kind of liking what you're saying with that. When did you I assume that when you did this, like your body started making changes a little bit more rapidly, whether because you're focused on these things. When did you start tapping into that and realizing, when we see things on YouTube, it's like, oh, that's really cool, that guy's doing that. But, the steps to get there, but also the conscious movement that needed to get to certain places. When did you start applying that sort of thing into your training?
I want to say around 2018, 2019.
Relatively new phenomena for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I had gotten into a place where all of my strength gains were starting to plateau, and I had gotten bored. I'm the type of person where I need to constantly be challenged to stay motivated. And then after I discovered original strength, I discovered VLS training, quote unquote, go to movement, and their systems, they kind of overlap. And I was kind of able to get a little bit more of a deeper understanding as far as how the central nervous system works and some of the movement patterns from GOTA. And I was able to transfer and make the connection between GOTA and original strength. And then once I started learning up under the GOTA tree and studying from what I had already picked up from original strength, I was able to make the connections, and I was like, oh, okay. From what they're saying and what original strength is saying, they correlate and they go hand in hand in a sense. And, GOTA, they place more of an emphasis on the foot and the ankle and making sure everything is properly aligned and whatnot. And they have the same importance on primal movements and the crawling and the baby and things of that nature. So this journey has been a long one for me, but I enjoy it because I'm learning each and every single day more and more. And the more I learn, the more I'm able to help other people.
Yeah, that was a lot newer than I thought. Like in terms of 2019 wasn't too long ago. In terms of just starting to focus on the training that way. That's pretty impressive because I've seen you do some strength stuff. I mean, I've seen you do handstands and whatnot. For upper body is like pretty darn strong, man. I can't even get anywhere near that, but that's pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm glad you found the other methods. So what things that you got out of the GOTA and the original strength that you're kind of like, we all go, oh man, I wish I knew this earlier. So let's take, a young kid, maybe 15, 16 that has some issues with lower extremities or balance. And what would you do to get them going right away without overwhelming them, that maybe to help accelerate their progress?
I've often said this in the past, and it's like now reflecting back with original strength and GOTA, I really wish when I was younger and in physical therapy and just period all around, I wish I would have focused on crawling a lot more, because I really felt like if I focused on crawling a lot more, even past high school and things like that, I feel like I would have been able to incrementally build myself up stronger to even from where I am presently at this point. And a lot of people may say, hey, you were strongest in your 20s and you're starting to fall off. I feel like it's the opposite for me. I say that I'm much stronger now than I was in my 20s when I was jacked and my body looked like I was ripped, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the awareness and I didn't have the wherewithal that I have now. So I'd say that I'm much more mature and I have a higher sense, a more keen sense of awareness. And I'm thankful for where my body is now compared to where I was at in my 20s.
No, I agree with you. If you have trouble in your 20s getting in shape, then there's really no hope, because that's like your prime years of just being strong. I was the same way. I've had to change a lot of things. I'm 45, so I got some years on you, but some injuries and stuff have crept up. But I'm trying to, like, I too have got in original strength and Gold Medal Bodies, GMB Fitness. I've done a lot of their stuff just on my own. I've gone to one of their seminars and they emphasize a lot of the stuff there. And I try to do a little bit of that every day. And that's been helping me out because, you got to shift your focus. Like I had to cut down on the weight. Like I don't care about weight so much anymore or volume. I just try to do a little bit every day and focus on the movement and getting better. Cause I want to, the 20s, looking back, like, you should feel good in your 20s, but how am I going to feel in my 70s? Right. Like I want to make sure that I feel okay in my 70s and I can still move around and whatnot. It was interesting. I wouldn't have picked the crawl. I get the crawl, like this effectiveness, but why, can you elaborate a little bit more on why crawling you wish you did more of earlier? I know it's a kind of a developmental milestone and it's a big keystone movement in both original strength and even GMB. I haven't explored GOTA very much. I'm going to look into it after this, but elaborate a little bit more on why crawling is so important for people in general.
Crawling is important because if you look at it, crawling is essentially walking on the ground, and it really teaches you how to connect your body properly. Like you bring your right arm forward in conjunction with your left foot, and just that whole connection of how the body is wired. It's really it really connects your body and makes it whole. And crawling challenges not only your arms and your legs, but also your core. And crawling, it really focuses you to concentrate and really work on bringing the body all together and integrating everything into one. So that's why I say that if I knew now what I knew back then, I definitely would have crawled a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought the contralateral movement because I noticed even for myself when I started doing those, how quickly our body forgets it, or we can do one side and then we can't do the other. So for people that don't know, a contralateral movement is moving, let's say, your left arm and your right leg at the same time, and that wiring of the body tends to leave us. So I've seen it with some of my clients. We'll do like dead bugs and bird dogs and stuff like that, and I'll see one side that works pretty well, and the other side I can see steam coming off their head trying to think about how to move their right arm and their left leg at the same time. And those skills tend to go, and I don't want to say they look remedial. I mean, they are remedial in a sense, but people tend to not kind of discount those movements. And I think they're very important. I find myself going back to those and trying to integrate those with people's training as well. The other one was rolling. Do you do much? I've seen you do some rolling, like front to back and stuff. I've seen that being hard for me on one side, and the other side being a little bit smoother. And that's very kind of primal with the original strength. I don't know if they do that in Goda much, but.
Right. I wish I stayed in a bigger space so I could roll more. So I don't roll as much as I used to. But back when I had a larger space, I was able to roll a lot and for long periods of time. And rolling really helped me strengthen the core. And it really helped me figure out my spatial awareness and how to use my eyes and how to tactile. Get more in touch with the tactile system, the system of touch, and really helped me use my eyes and help me to track information and really get the proprioceptive nerves and everything working and all in sync. So once I get into a larger space, I'll definitely be rolling a lot more. And plus, rolling is good for the spine, and it really settles the central nervous system down. But not too many people know that. That's why babies roll a lot. It relieves a lot of stress, and it takes a lot of stress off.
Yeah, I always wonder why we get away from those things. I don't know if it's probably our environment, right? We start sitting in school and doing other things, and even sports. A lot of them are. Different, the movements are different. We get away from the primal stuff, and even football and wrestling's a little more pure, I would say, in terms of natural movement. But I played a lot of soccer, and we didn't use our upper body at all. So we had to try to keep our upper body strong. I train kids in soccer that can't even hold weights doing step ups because they get tired too quickly. So it's just
what?
Yeah, they just get, they just don't have any upper body strength because they're so used to running and kicking. Trying to get the body balance is tough. Sports are definitely tough on the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's all great stuff. I see the good thing. You had a good foundation with your parents helping you out, the physical therapy and having access to a gym, and then now finding your strength journey just to get better and to help people out. What keeps you motivated? Because I imagine, just like anybody else, maybe even more, a little more so, just getting frustrated with lack of progress. Was that your drive to get better? Because you said you did plateau a little bit. But yeah, what keeps you going, things that you have found to help you go and keep persisting and getting better?
Working with my clients on a consistent basis, seeing what issues they have. And I'm always on the internet searching for different modalities to help them out, to make sure that, as I take them through sessions, I'm giving them the best opportunity to improve. And I also follow a group of moms whose children have CP, and they watch my stuff and they support, my brand, with my merchandise and things like that. I have a couple moms that I DM from time to time, just checking on the child and things of that nature. And they always hit me back with, so-and-so hit this milestone. And that really keeps me going, because regardless of how much money I make from my training journey and all that, it's important because I have to survive and live. But the more important thing is I put out content so that the next generation and the next generation of child with cerebral palsy or any other similar disability, I want them to have a blueprint, and I want to be able to I want them to be able to study what I was able to do and then improve upon it so that their quality of life has a chance to be better.
No, that's great. Let's say we have a young man or woman or young lady that has cerebral palsy. They're 12 years old. They're starting to look for ways to get better. And they come across you. What would be maybe the 3 things that to get them going to help, like that you wish you knew, or things that they can do right now to get better and see progress that maybe you've seen, like kind of a general, I know people are different and the condition can be different in anybody, but like you talked about the crawling, are there like 2 other things that people can do like right away to be like, wow, okay, it's working. I can see gains, and it keeps them going to get better as they progress in age?
Number one, I would always look at where they currently are and see what their potential is. Of course, if they were confined to a wheelchair, I wouldn't necessarily want to put them on the ground because they're not used to being in that setting. So I would have to create an adaptive workout and really see how well their motor skills were and just work from there and be able to build a program so that they can have adaptable exercises for their position and for whatever condition they're in. And then I would also have to communicate with them directly as to what their goals are, because I have different goals but as a trainer, I have to understand my clients' goals. Secondly, if they were more like me, so to speak, I would put them on the ground. I would teach them the child rockers. I would get them to teach them how to use the wall and how to depend on various supports and whatnot, because support is necessary. I wouldn't necessarily take them through a heavy weightlifting regimen because I have to make sure that their structure is strong enough to handle that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it would be a lot of groundwork and foundational stuff. And as they progress, I would continue to build my program from there. And three, I would always make sure that I affirm and continue to assess and let them know that they can do this. And if they can't, we're going to shrink the movement or whatever we're trying to do, and we're just going to work within the micro milestones and just continue to build until they can get to where they want to be, so to speak. So it would have to be a collaborative effort, but those are the 3 things that I would focus on.
That's great. No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. So what's next for you? You have some goals that you want to reach, and or some that are close. So give me some short term, some long term, and then just talk a little bit about your training as we kind of wrap up here. Like what kind of services you offer, and you can pitch your social media and I'm getting a t-shirt. I'm excited about it. That's coming in the mail. So
thank you.
Of course. It looks cool. You got a cool design, man. And the colors, I'm like, oh man, my colors are boring. So your color is really nice.
Thanks, man. My training services, I typically work with strength training clients, mobility clients, and anyone that's rehabbing from injuries. I help people generally who have injuries associated with the lower extremities, ankles, feet, MCLs, ACLs, et cetera, and you guys can follow me on social media at Buster_the_strongman. And you can also support by listening to the Rise Above Strength podcast. And you can also click the link in my bio and check out and purchase a piece of my merchandise. I have stuff for men, women, and I'm basically going to be doing shorts and hats for the summer. So be on the lookout for that. And you can also find a link to my personal training services in my bio as well.
Yeah, and I'll put all that in the show notes as well. But definitely give him a follow on Instagram because, like I said, I ran across it. I either one of us ever reached out, and I've been really enjoying his progress. Like seeing his progress is motivating for me, and it's like, wow, this is just to seeing what's capable out there. With training with someone that's overcoming something and really experimenting on themselves. I mean, I think as trainers, like that's what we got to do first and foremost. We have to live it too, right? I wish I was 20 again and just like lifted and ate whatever I wanted and looked strong. But no, how do we keep going? How do we, live a life of fitness all the way to the end and help people out along with their journey? And it comes through, I think, just our own experiences and just experimenting on ourselves, a little bit of trial and error and committing to the life of that. So I think that's good. And I do think you're doing a good service, especially with cerebral palsy. Like you said, when you searched, you couldn't find anything. Is there things out there now beyond yourself that are out there for it? Have you found anything?
Yes. In Georgia, there's a gym strictly dedicated to people with disabilities. They're called the Alternative Gym on Instagram.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. And then there's also the Shepherd Center, but I'm not necessarily close with the Shepherd Center like that. But the Alternative Gym, they do a really good job with providing sources and resources for children with disabilities. And they have their own equipment. And Angie, the lady that's over the gym, she does a very, very good job. And then it's called Special Strong, and they're all the way out in Texas.
Okay.
And their gym is completely adaptive for various conditions like autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome. And Daniel, the owner out there, he does a really good job. And I got connected with them through NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So.
Yeah, it's great. It's coming around. And then hopefully, you can continue to be a pioneer in this. Love to see some YouTube videos or something, just tutorials. I think you'd help out a lot of people, not only with cerebral palsy, but just people working with people like that, parents. I think, we didn't even touch upon that too much, but, just helping the parents out too, because sometimes I think they can be overwhelmed with what's going on and not know where to start, right? So, yeah, hopefully you can keep doing what you're doing and just keep helping people out in that respect.
Definitely. I appreciate you for allowing me to be on the platform, and I really can't take it for granted.
Oh no, the pleasure's all mine, really. I like I said, this is seeing you do what you do is what it's all about for sure. And that keeps me going. And I'm really happy to have you on here. Yeah. So thank you for joining me, and hopefully we can have you on again in a few months. And if you got something special to add, down the road, definitely more than happy to talk about it. Cause yeah, your journey's a really good one. And I recommend people keep an eye on it for sure.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining Tevin and I today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also check out Rise Above Strength, and you can check out the newsletter, have a monthly newsletter there, different videos and articles and podcasts like this one. And yeah, stay strong out there. Remember, all the strength you need is on the inside and reinforced on the outside. We'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks.